Welcome everyone to a new episode of the Football Baron podcast. We go over some transfer news that is just going everywhere across the market in the Premier League, the Bundesliga, and the Serie A. All right, let's start off with what's going on at Manchester United. Donny van de Beek looking like he could be moving there. Very big move. I mean, there's a lot of Premier League clubs just making some big moves right now in the transfer market, and no one really knows what's going on with Manchester United, and they finally made a move, and it's looking like it's going to be finalized. And when it is finalized, Donny van de Beek will be going to Manchester United. Transfer fee is looking like 40 million euros plus 5 million euros in potential add-ons, and I think it's a smart move in terms of because what we've seen from Donny van de Beek has really proven that he is a top quality player. Just the way he plays on the pitch. I mean, he's proven himself internationally in the Dutch international team. And it's fair to say he's proven himself in Europe as well, in the Champions League, when 2 years ago they went to the semifinals and it tragically missed out on the finals with a Tottenham Hotspurs comeback. But Donny van de Beek, solid young player, a lot of room to grow in terms of just how he can improve as a midfielder. But what we're seeing could be a great trio in that midfield. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could mess around with it to make it that there isn't that defensive anchor anymore in terms of, Matic or McTominay being that defensive anchor. And Donny van de Beek could be a aid in that attacking play. And with Bruno Fernandes and Pogba, that midfield is going to be looking very sparkling. And of course, they can rely on Matic, McTominay, and Fred as backups, as always. But it's looking like really good in terms of what they're bringing in. And it's going to be great. It really is going to be great what we're seeing from the bringing of Donny van de Beek. So good luck to Manchester United. And hopefully they will be benefiting from further transfers. So good for them, and the signing will definitely be an improvement and help them try to do well this Premier League season. All right, let's also talk about Robin Koch to Leeds. As a Freiburg fan, very disappointed to see him leave, but I think it's understandable for the club situation. But Leeds United, they really have gotten themselves a great center back, German international, who's broken into the German national team this season, the season that just ended now. And Leeds United will definitely need that. He's a player who's experienced. I mean, he's been involved in relegation battles before. I mean, with Freiburg. And he has so much, I think, potential even further. He's 24 years old, and he still has a lot of room. And I think that he'll adapt well to the Premier League because he has the physical attributes to do well. And it's a pretty interesting transfer fee that Leeds United had to pay because it wasn't that much, plus add-ons, but the fee was only 13 million euros. That's a bargain transfer fee and he's extremely versatile. He can play center back and midfield, so a lot of room for him to grow in terms of where they can position him in the midfield or in that defensive line specifically. But just another group of smart signings from Leeds, and they're looking like they don't want to be really caught in a relegation battle or even get relegated. And I think the financial situation and the financial commitment that they're putting under Marcelo Bielsa is completely understandable and completely justified because of how incredible of a coach he is, and what he's doing right now is amazing and solid. And I think Robin Koch will just be another important figure, and under Bielsa, hopefully he will continue to do better and really be a solid defender in the Premier League. All right, we're still staying in the Premier League. James Rodriguez, he's going to accelerate at Everton, I think, in terms of just going back to his old form, hopefully and ideally. And if he does get back to his old form, alongside him, he's going to accelerate Everton. Because what he has and what we saw at the World Cup and he had some great performances, and he has the talent and ability, and I think that Carlo Ancelotti can definitely bring that out of him. We've already seen him bring out a lot on some of the players at Everton, and I think that James Rodriguez could be the same, and he's very close to signing for Everton. Joining up with Carlo Ancelotti could be a very big leap, because Carlo Ancelotti, I mean, for the level that he is at Everton, for the level he is at, and compared to Everton, is of course he is a major figure at Everton, because of the expertise and experience he has. And James Rodriguez, of course, is the same, but he's kind of been in a rough slump for a while now. And if both of them, get in a groove in terms of just they're clicking and just getting those performances in. James Rodriguez could really help Carlo Ancelotti, and Real Madrid, I don't believe, really need him because he's a surplus to requirements, it seems like. And if he goes back to his old form, Everton and Leeds are looking very, very good for the season, and it's going to be interesting to see how some of those bigger clubs are going to react and respond to it. I mean, some of them are spending high, like Chelsea, but James Rodriguez could be a major transfer if he really does live up to that hype and live up to that belief and talent that he had and what he showcased for Colombia, for his national team. But really, it looks really interesting. It really does. Carlo Ancelotti has already put in wonders at Everton, just really motivating a lot of those players and really putting in a tactical discipline and this tactical. He's very strong tactically. I mean, he's one of the best coaches for a while now, and what he's bringing at Everton is, of course, working to a degree, but he just needs that funding and bring in some new players, and James Rodriguez could definitely meet that requirement and push Ancelotti and Everton across that finish line in terms of getting Champions League qualification or maybe even Europa League qualification. Another piece of transfer news, of course, is Weston McKennie to Juventus. Juventus loan. It's going to be a loan spell, and if Juventus does qualify for the Champions League, which is almost certain because of their history in that Italian league, they will have an obligation to buy. And it's going to be an interesting signing, of course, and I think a really solid signing for Juventus. I mean, Juventus has had some problems in the midfield. I mean, we've heard of Paulo Dybala and Cristiano Ronaldo even talking, and they were even just passing the blame on kind of to the midfield, saying they weren't really getting service or help. And I think Weston McKennie could solve that. In terms of, he has that youthful energy, still a young player, still has a lot of room to grow, and what he can do at Juventus could be important. He's going to be learning from some more experienced figures alongside the likes of Pirlo as the manager, and he has a work ethic that's really could be vital for Juventus. He's an incredible engine in that midfield. Also, it's just interesting seeing Schalke let go more of these players that have been performing well for them, because Weston McKennie, I'd say, has been a solid player for them. I mean, he's been very committed to that midfield, real work engine, and when they had a lot of injured players, he was really helping them a large amount. And of course, they're struggling financially, so they let go of him. But the transfer fee will be looking like 3.5 million now in terms of the loan fee, and then if the obligation to buy is triggered, which the obligation is that if Juventus does secure Champions League qualification, they will buy him, and that fee will be 18 million if the deal is made permanent, and then another 7 million euros in bonus payments. Good signing from Juventus. Pirlo, there's a lot of news surrounding him and his squad that he wants, and a lot of the players that he's letting go, like players like Higuain and a lot of others. I even heard that there was Paulo Dybala who could potentially leave. But Weston McKennie, an affordable option in terms of Schalke. They're struggling financially, so they're willing to let go of some key players. And he's a solid player, American international. Work ethic is insane on the pitch, and he could be a great engine and kind of revamp that midfield. All right, time to rotate back to the Premier League. We got to speak about Leeds United, what they're doing right now. We talked earlier about players like Robin Koch being brought in and Rodrigo from Valencia. These are top-class players, or becoming top-class players, close to top-class players. In their respective leagues, they did well. For example, Robin Koch, I mean, as a Freiburg fan, solid defender in the German national team, broke in the season that ended 2019-2020 season, and now he's at Leeds. He's retaining his position in the German national team, and signings like these are what you need for Leeds United trying to get back on their perch, and they definitely should not be in a relegation battle with the signings that they're bringing in, and it's looking like they're going to even bring in more signings. Want to be being one of those being one of those clubs that spend majorly in the transfer window. They're going to bring in more, and they could break that €100 million mark as a relegated or promoted club coming up to the Premier League. And players like Robin Koch and Rodrigo, Robin Koch, for example, just a bargain of a signing, and bringing him in going to be very, very good for Leeds United. I mean, under Marcelo Bielsa, they've been doing well and been a strong side, and really, really do think that Leeds should not be in a relegation battle at all. I think other clubs like West Brom and Fulham and I say even Brighton maybe should be relegated, or not should be relegated. I don't want to say that specifically, but are more likely to be relegated. I don't want any of the teams to be relegated. I mean, it's a sad thing when the team gets relegated, but Leeds should not feel that sad thing coming into the season with the coach that they have and with the players that they're bringing in and how their squad is getting revamped, and they're making some of those loan deals from last season permanent, such as from Wolves and other clubs. They should be staying in this Premier League, and I'd say even work or fight for a mid-table finish. All right, time to speak about Bayern, and moving on to the Bundesliga. Let's talk about Bayern Munich. They won the treble. Amazing team, really switched it around after Niko Kovac was kind of not really having the full support of the squad, and they were, I believe, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th in that area, and just looking very poor. Of course, he got sacked, and they brought in Hansi Flick, the assistant manager, and he did well. The squad loved him. They supported him. Outspoken voices like Thomas Müller were saying, we got to keep him. And they kept him, and it showed. They won the Bundesliga, won the German Cup, and won the Champions League in a dominant fashion. Of course, the last two games weren't as dominant, but just they didn't lose once in the Champions League. And that just really signifies how dominant they were throughout the league, Champions League. And some of the players that they want to keep is Ivan Perisic. We got a lot of loanies from different clubs coming at Bayern Munich, and they had Perisic, they had Coutinho. Not looking like Coutinho is going to stay because of how big of the transfer fee would be, but Perisic, they are looking to bring him in permanently. Perisic has been, I'd say, a shown better performances than Coutinho for his level of talent and quality, but very, very solid player in the Bundesliga and in the Champions League. He just gives add depth, solid quality depth to Bayern. And they were even speaking about how Champions League, the secondary squad, the bench for Bayern was stacked. A lot of solid players, and Perisic was one of them. And Inter have turned down the first offer for Perisic, which was at 12 million euros from Bayern, but they want 15 million. Even I'd say 15 million is a bargain, and some other clubs got to take this deal, but of course they didn't. And Bayern have that obligation, or they have that opportunity and advantage in getting Perisic's service. But another piece of smart business from Bayern, bringing in some pretty solid players and quality players who Perisic still has a couple of years ahead of him. And if they bring him in to Bayern permanently, it's gonna be smart business from Bayern. They've already brought a lot of those players in, like Robert Lewandowski on free transfer and Serge Gnabry on a good fee from Werder Bremen, who came from Arsenal to Werder Bremen and then ultimately to Bayern. But what we're seeing is just a quality management of a club. Bayern transfer policy, amazing. They don't often spend a huge chunk of money on a player, and they bring in some players on a good bargain. Their scouting is solid, and Dortmund's is as well, but Bayern's is more, I'd say, developed in terms of they can hold and retain the players longer and are willing to retain the players longer. All right, we're going to move on to a more my favorite club, Freiburg-oriented topic. It's going to be, Freiburg is going to have a tough season ahead of them. I was speaking earlier about Robin Koch leaving the Leeds United, and of course, we also earlier heard about Luka Waldschmidt leaving for Benfica. I think that what we're seeing is looking like a very potential, very tough future for season ahead that's coming in for Freiburg. I have complete faith that we can stay up, but the players that left were really major for us, and how we had such an incredibly successful season last season, the 2019-2020 season, and we were so close to Europa League qualification. But Luka Waldschmidt and Robin Koch were really key players, starting 11 players. Robin Koch could be put in that midfield and the defensive line. Him and Heinz were really good together. And of course, Luka Waldschmidt in the front alongside Grifo and Pedersen, and just really solid players, I'd say. And I think that losing some of them I think it was expected, of course, because they were growing to quality players, and a lot of clubs were interested. And of course, the COVID situation, even Christian Streich was saying that they need to raise transfer revenue. And of course, it could turn out that I'm wrong, that it's going to be a tough season, mired with relegation battle. But I have a feeling it will be. I mean, the signings, I don't know if they're going to be, if they're going to do really well. Of course, you never really know with loan deals. And there's players like Goose that they could bring in, or of course, Demirovic, who has already joined. But if they do well, I think we could have another successful season. But from what I've seen so far with the players that are leaving, it's going to look like a very tough season for Freiburg, losing a goal scorer like Waldschmidt, and losing a solid defender like Robin Koch, and a versatile player like Robin Koch. And continuing on from our, of course, speaking about Freiburg, Gus Till, I don't know how to pronounce his Dutch name, but he's looking like he could come to Freiburg on a 2-year loan spell. He joined Spartak Moscow for a record 16 million euros, and he was originally at AZ, I believe the Dutch club. I don't know the exact name or if that's correct, but there was other sides, of course, interested in the player. PSV, Feyenoord, and Rangers from Scotland. A lot of interest is around this player. He's only 22, I believe, and of course he had a unsuccessful starting season at Spartak Moscow, but 18 games and only 2 goals and 3 assists. I think, of course, it's just a transitional phase. I mean, of course, a lot of players, when they sign, they have a bad early season, but now he's looking like he's going to go to a 2-year loan spell to Freiburg, and I'm excited. I mean, we lost Luka Waldschmidt, but if he can fill those boots, and 2 years is enough time for him to adapt to the Bundesliga, and when he does, we could maybe even bring him on a permanent deal. That would be amazing if he does do really well. And I have a strong feeling about this player. I think that he could do really well, and attacking midfielder, just give a lot more attacking depth that we need. Of course, there's a lot of depth, I'd say, in that midfield, but there's no depth really in that left back position, as well as in that defensive line. But I say the midfield is pretty good, but of course we're losing a lot of players, but we're bringing a lot more. But we're bringing a lot of players. We're bringing a lot of players in that attacking area. Demirovic, excuse me, and of course Gus Till is coming in as well. And if I have a good feeling about him, and if it does meet that good feeling and expectation that I already have set on him, I'm gonna be really excited and really happy for him, because if he performs well, and he can justify that transfer fee that Spartak Moscow had put on him. But I'm going to be excited if Freiburg does beat Rangers, of course, PSV and Feyenoord on him. It's going to be very nice, and bring in some more solid players that could help the club keep that momentum that we had from the previous season. All right, well, that will be it for this episode of the Football Baron podcast. Some interesting transfer news. Not a lot of course, match day recaps that we can do because there's no football being played. Of course, there's that international break coming in, the UEFA Nations League. Excuse me, but it's gonna be interesting though. So I'm probably gonna watch a couple of the games. There's a few games I want to watch. The Germany national team versus the Spanish national team. The Turkish team, I believe they're facing the Dutch team, if I'm correct. I can look it up right now. But, of course, there's also Sweden versus France I want to watch, and England versus Denmark, which I'm also excited about. I think it's going to be interesting. There's going to be some good games out there. And Denmark versus Belgium is another good one that looks really nice. But still, great teams that are going to face each other. And it's just gonna be interesting to see some football, of course, between that break, and see who are some few players who will come out of that international break in good form. But anyways, thank you, of course, for watching this episode of the Football Baron podcast. If you are listening on any podcast platform, please follow or subscribe to us and give us 5 stars. It really is appreciated. If you're listening on YouTube, or if you are not listening on YouTube, please go to our channel, Football Baron. That is our YouTube channel name, and hit the subscribe button, and you can look at all our videos. We'll have the podcast there in full format, in a audio format, YouTube format, and we also have our clips from the podcast on there as well in smaller format. And of course, thank you, of course, for listening. It really does help us in terms of just seeing some people listening to our content. And of course, thank you. Thank you, and I hope you all have a great day as we prepare for the season to come back in the Bundesliga, the Premier League, or any league that you enjoy watching.